And it is Tuesday, and this is Trekland HQ. Happy Star Trek Day! It wasn't always like this. Today on Trekland Tuesdays Live number 223, with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, bringing you clarity, sanity, and the big picture in everything Star Trek. And thanks a lot to these folks in our Patreon for helping us do that. Hey, welcome back. It's another Tuesday, slightly delayed, but we're all here. We've got the power. We're running it. I hope everybody will be popping in here in the chat pretty soon. If you're a veteran, if you're with us every week, welcome back. You know what's coming up. If you're new to us, if you found us out this week, live or later, hey, every week we're here. I take on a topic. Hopefully it's not just more of the same old you see everywhere else around the interwebs in the Trek community. And then we do have chat. I do get to the chat after we take a break and I look at the Parrot Analytics, US SVOD streaming ratings. But first a little soapbox moment, if you will. But yeah, go ahead and get your hellos and how do you do's and buckle up. And no need to be a lurker. Jump right in. But I will get to the chat in just a second. First off, I want to talk about, as we record this, it's tomorrow. It's September 8th, 2021, the 55th anniversary of Star Trek Day. And my goodness, it's a thing now, isn't it? Anybody that's been around longer than 3 or 4 years, though, is going to watch how this has evolved. This day has evolved. And the day, of course, is September 8th, which was the first day, the anniversary date back in 1966, that we mark Star Trek's official age from. The day that NBC first telecast Star Trek to an audience, a mass audience that could see it. The Man Trap was the episode. It was not one of the 2 pilots. It wasn't even the first show filmed when they started regular production after the second pilot. Yeah, it's not that, which would have been Corbomite Maneuver. Nope, the Man Trap was picked out of the first 5 or 6 episodes to show folks what the show was shaking down into. But September 8th, 1960, and yes, I know, little known fact, did you know that Star Trek was actually shown to an audience broadcast 2 days earlier? September 6th, 1966, it was shown in Canada. But that doesn't count. Home audience was September 8th, and that's the day that we've always marked. I say that we've always marked because we haven't. Now, look, tomorrow is going to be a huge lineup. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Tomorrow at 5:30 Pacific, so 8:30 Eastern Time. Sorry, Europe. I think it's global streamed, but that's not going to be much help for the night owls, the not night owls in Europe. But what it looks like is 5:30, at least by 6, the actual panels will start. They've got 6 panels for 3 hours. They're turning the live audience here at it's going to be live. We've had a year and a half of things gone virtual. Yay. But for the first time, there's going to be a live audience again. A red carpet, which will probably be streamed. Red carpet starting at 4 Pacific, actually. And we'll see if that is streamed or not. But by 5:30-ish, 6, they've got 6 panels lined up. So give or take 30 minutes apiece, plus 5 little video spots to interstitial in between those. Star Trek Prodigy is up first with Brett Gray, who's playing Dal, and D. Bradley Baker, who's Murph, the sound machine, the little blob, along with the showrunners Kevin and Dan Hageman brothers, and their co-executive producer Ben Hibben, who is the art side, I guess. So Prodigy, which we still have not seen yet, but we're still talking about. It's supposedly up next after the Lower Decks run. Then a Discovery chat with Wilson Cruz, Blue DeBarrio, and Ian Alexander, and showrunner Michelle Paradise. Then Strange New Worlds, which we have not technically seen footage of, but we sure know Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, and Ethan Peck. Co-showrunners Akiva Goldsman, who you know, and Henry Alonzo Myers, who you may have seen at the chat, I think one of the summer chats, or maybe a year ago. A very impressive writers panel on Strange New Worlds. So we've got them for half an hour, and then a Lower Decks panel This time with Noah Wells and Eugene Cordero. So we're going to have Tendy and Rutherford spotlighted, along with Mike McMahon and McMahon. I've got hometown pronunciations will throw you every time. Sorry, Mike McMahon. And then a Picard panel with Patrick and Jerry Ryan and Akiva Goldsman and Issa Briones singing Blue Skies live. By the way, Jeff Russo, composer of the Picard and Discovery themes, is conducting a live orchestra at the Skirball, which will be awesome. And then to top it all off, since this is the 100th year of Gene, this is Gene Roddenberry's centennial year of birth, a Gene Roddenberry panel that Rod is going to lead with some familiar faces to you past the current shows, Gates, LeVar, and George. Gates McFadden, LeVar Burton, and George Takei for the new fans in the audience. So then the live folks are going to be able to see an exhibition of some of these pieces that are going to be up at an upcoming auction at the Skirball. The Skirball to be hosting an exhibition in October through April that's coming. And in between those moments, there'll be some video moments. And this will all be seen by the streaming audience too. Sirach, Lofton, Anthony, Garrett, George again, and LeVar again. So you've got DS9, Enterprise, Voyager, all the legacy series are represented. And again, this is, on one hand, everybody virtually can be watching live, but for the first time, they've brought in a live audience, a VIP audience, and a big fan audience to react in the moment. So, as we've been talking about for the last year and a half, creeping back toward live events, a mix. It'll be really interesting, very smart. Everyone there has to be vaccinated. We all had to show proof of vaccination digitally ahead of time. So be watching for that. The red carpet will be. Oh, also, I don't want to forget this. They're bringing back the Star Trek United Gives campaign, the hashtag campaign. This time, when you hashtag anything on September 8th on Star Trek Day, everyone that tweets that, $1 is donated and divided equally by Paramount Plus and the Roddenberry Foundation to several organizations that are doing real world work on championing equality, saving the planet, innovation, supporting the arts. It's a new campaign to honor Gene. It launches on the 8th. This dollar giving day is especially for that day. So you hashtag Star Trek United Gives, as they've brought out 2 or 3 times in the last year. So make sure everything you hashtag on Star Trek Day, also hashtag it Star Trek United Gives, and help out some very worthy outlets. And on top of all that, if you're into swag, and who's not these days, there is a special code, Star Trek Day 20. You can get 20% off special Star Trek Day merch at shop.startrek.com. Go to the official site. And there is a curated, as they say, a special limited edition just for Star Trek Day 2021, the 55th anniversary. That's an awful lot. That's even more than was done a year ago when we had we were in lockdown. Virtual panels have been a breakthrough, as we predicted here at the very beginning. We had the technology. We can do it. What strikes me about today's topic, and I hope I see you all across the inner tubes tomorrow and watching at home, watching for news to come out. I'm sure there will be some news out of some of these panels, especially for, let's hope, Prodigy and Strange New Worlds. We'll see. Maybe the others too. But one thing that strikes me in the meta sense here, which is what you expect from Trekland, is how far we've come with Star Trek. For one thing, how many of you remember when it wasn't even called Star Trek Day? I was doing some, because this creeped up on us. Social media, of course, and hashtagability is what's driven some of this. The first time I really remember hearing it called Star Trek Day officially was the first official Star Trek comeback time, Star Trek Day 2017, the upshot of what the network was able to do for a show that hadn't really aired yet, if you remember, by September 8th, was a great little, I don't know, 60-second clip, a video clip of all the actors of Star Trek Discovery's cast that we were barely getting to know and meet, all sitting in a captain's chair saying Happy Star Trek Day while their name and character flashed by. And they, it was a parade of 8 or 10 or 12 of them. And at the time, I thought, wow, that's new and different. It seems quaint now. We've got 4 or 5 hours of panels and entertainment here coming tomorrow, which is an uptick over last year's. Every year has grown. The pandemic, ironically, has both squeezed that and lit a fire under it. So yay on the virus. No. The silver linings of this pandemic, we're going to be enjoying. The downside, the tragedy of it is unspeakable, obviously. Personally, politically, but scientifically and culturally, sociologically, there have been some silver linings come out of this. And this is one thing. If we have to have a disaster like this, at least here's a good sign. Here's a good part of it. I remember that commercial, though, in 2017. Do you? Do you remember it? Happy Star Trek Day. Everybody flashing their Vulcan Vs. Happy Star Trek Day. Left hands, too. Yay. There, I can do it left-handed. And that struck me then, which got me thinking now, where did that come from? Because, yeah, socials and Twitter and hashtags drove this. I started doing some research. The first time I used the phrase Star Trek Day on my blog was in 2012, 2011. And that was referring to First Contact Day as the Star Trek Day, because we didn't really think of there being a special day. First Contact, of course, is April 4th. And it's from First Contact, the movie, First Contact Day. We all know that. But at the time, it was like, oh, this is a canon day. This is cute. And it really started, it was sparked by Star Wars, yes, and May the 4th. And all that became an early internet thing. But since Star Wars is, I don't know, have you ever heard this? Star Wars is actually set a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, where they are not using the common era dating system, Shock of Shocks. So there's no canon days to throw at you unless you're looking at production side, right? So yeah, May 4th, May the 4th, okay, the premiere, all of that. Or actually into June, but it was a cute thing. Has nothing to do with the movie. April 4th actually does have something to do with Star Trek. We've picked up a few other days since then. Back in the day, though, well, I shouldn't say most. A lot of fans who read any kind of behind-the-scenes book, and that's all you could do back in the dark ages of 2008, 2010, we kind of knew that September 8th was the Star Trek anniversary date, the birthday of Star Trek. And that's what we used to say. We used to say, Happy Star Trek anniversary, Happy Star Trek birthday. I mean, face-to-face with your 8 or 10 Trek fan friends. And when Twitter especially, Facebook, yeah, and Twitter especially made hashtags a thing, Happy Star Trek birthday, Happy birthday Star Trek, Happy Star Trek anniversary. That was kind of the thing. I think Trek movie, the first time I saw them, I was digging. First time I saw them use it was in 2012 as Star Trek Day for September 8th. But it wasn't really widely used. I think Star Trek here, StarTrek.com, official CBS / Paramount Plus, I think they're the ones that kind of championed it. Although it was around a few years, I did see some, as one barometer to go to and look at with consistently written writings. I didn't in my blog. I would usually do an anniversary post and I would say, Happy birthday, Star Trek, or Happy anniversary, Star Trek. This whole thing about Star Trek Day has been a recent phenomenon. It creeped in. It's fine. Yay. The marketers love it because you know what? Day is 1 syllable. Birthday is 2. And oh my God, anniversary is 5. So who needs that? Go with Star Trek Day. The other thing is First Contact Day is First Contact Day now. And we have 2 given days. We have a canon and we have a production side day. And you know what? Kiddos, we just passed the T-3 years and counting for the Bell riots. September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I'm kind of shocked that I didn't see more, although I guess counting down to a major social disruption, upheaval, and cause of death that we're really hoping it was bad enough to get through the eugenics wars from 92 to 96. And I kind of laughed that off. But Star Trek is a lot more important now than it was even in the 90s to the little circle of Star Trek folk. It's global, and it's competing with other franchises. And how much do we really want our prime timeline of reality to match the prime timeline of Star Trek? As much as we protect it in guardrail canon in Star Trek, we are going to increasingly come up against, we survived somehow the eugenics wars. I guess in 2002, Nomad was secretly launched as a deep space probe. But we're really going to come up against it in 3 years with the Bell riots. But it's a day. It's a day. It's something that Star Wars doesn't have and Star Trek does. And it's awesome. And now we're calling the anniversary Star Trek Day. The other side of this coin is this is the 55th. The 50th obviously was huge. It's the 50th anniversary. I always mark it as the 50th anniversary, yes, of TOS, but include the franchise. Tomorrow's events include the whole franchise. It's obviously the birth date of the original series, and when you're the oldest in the family, you get most of the attention, I guess, even as the years go by. But I like celebrating the entire franchise on Star. We're not marking the anniversaries of all these others. Well, we do, but in the family we do. The world doesn't know when the premiere of Enterprise flies by in a big way. There's not parades and marching bands and virtual panels scheduled for the premieres of every single other series. So the original series kind of marks it for me. And yes, I'm up for celebrating all these. Now, the 50th was seen as a celebration of the original series. Okay. The 55th, not so much. The 50th was also kind of a last gasp, I think, and a lot of people were hedging their bets about how many folks from the original series we'd still have with us. And thankfully, we have everyone we've got right now. But in the broader picture, yeah, use that to sell. July 4th marks 1776, but we don't just honor the 13 original colonies. We honor all the 50 states and beyond that are part of the USA today. So there's an awkward analogy. Anyway, the thing that really strikes me, though, is not just about the phrasing or the naming, but the fact that what the studio is doing. Of course, the cynical would say, well, of course they're celebrating. It's their franchise property. They've got a vested interest in promoting it. It's just as much to promote this as it is to make a million little 30-second promos to drop with each episode as everything airs during the week, which is from 1966 onward. That's promotion and marketing and PR. And increasingly, we're finding that the modern world has gotten so sophisticated, and there's so many channels here to advertise, to promote on, to market on. You don't have 3 networks, you don't have 500 channels. You've got the interwebs now, and everything that spins off. So, boy, take advantage of all that. You've got a vacuum to fill. There's an endless void here to fill up with reminding everybody or attracting new eyeballs, attracting more people to Gene's vision and the magic that has brought all of us here. And even in our niches, whether you're a cosplayer or you're a shipper or you just like futurizing future tech, whatever it is or more, we're all here. That's why we're aboard her. Risk is our business, and attraction and fun and all the things, all the feels of Star Trek. And it's amazing to think, though, that wasn't always the case, because there have been different owners of Star Trek and different attitudes within the company that owns it, and of course out in culture. And nowhere do we get back to that of thinking this marketing, aside from the content, just the fact that it's even happening. And of course, we've got new Star Trek. We're out of the fallow years. All through the fallow years, it was hard to get excited about a Star Trek anniversary. It really was just in the family. But yes, come 2017, come 2016, with the 50th, was really the launching pad for the beginning of the template of how corporate ownership would look promoting Star Trek, with the first panels, long overdue panels at Comic-Con San Diego, much less what was done with Trek Vegas and presumably now the new Reed PopCon starting in Chicago. And that's been ramped up ever since and that's a known thing now. That's a constant. That's a standard thing. But before the standard, who felt like celebrating when there was no new Star Trek? But even before 2005, even before that, what did the studio celebration look like? We know looking at pre-streaming is going to look about as archaic now as looking at pre-internet. I predict it. But in those pre-streaming days with just the internet, you know what it was? A logo and special events at cons, maybe some other things. The 50th really broke that mold, and a lot of Katie bar the door fun and excitement and exhibits, you know, were trotted out for that. It was the fallow times, but there was a series on the way, right? November 2015 was the first announcement of something coming new. We'll tell you the name and the focus later, but new Star Trek is coming. And Alex Kurtzman's in charge of it. It's going to launch this new wing of streaming. What the hell is that? And that was November 2015. So there was something undergirding the 50th anniversary, and we eventually got details. But before that, you got a logo. Now, you got special movies and episodes. You got Star Trek 6 with Spock in Star Trek 6, also Spock on Next Generation Unification. You got that for the 25th. 25th? Yeah. You've got Flashback and Tribulations for the 30th in 96. So things did happen. But that was the mentality of the thinking. You got special events on conventions and cruises and day-long celebrations that way. And now we're getting back into pre-internet days. But where I really, really draw the line is on the 10-year anniversary of Star Trek in 1976, there was no studio support at all because they were fumbling around for a movie in the 70s. But no one was thinking meta or mega, and there was nobody in charge. Gene was in charge, but there was nothing to show for it. And in the old days, you had nothing to show. You kept your mouth shut until you did. But Lincoln Enterprises, Roddenberry.com in the old days, paper and stamps, came out with the Star Trek Tennial medal and logo because it was the bicentennial. So, get it? But it was the 10th anniversary, 66 to 76. Let another 10 years go by, 4 movies down, a huge movie. Paramount realized exactly what they had, and the paradigm changed. 1986 is what I call the second coming of Star Trek because you had a breakthrough movie that was globally popular, Star Trek 6, Star Trek 4, the one with the whales. You had Spock on the cover of Newsweek. You did eventually have a new series and a new concept of what Star Trek could be announced. But most of all, you had a studio that got it. And there's no better way of noticing that, of having that be a barometer. It was the first time the studio supported an anniversary. It took 20 years, but finally Paramount realized, these are the family jewels, and we should do something about it. Do you know what the logo looked like for 20 years? Bingo. There you go. Your first studio marking of a Star Trek anniversary. 20 years. Yeehaw. And that was something. But again, nobody else did this. Nobody else celebrated a dead show that had made some movies. Star Trek was unique. Nothing else was like it. It was breaking the mold every time it turned around. Yeah. Our guest back again this week on the Trek Files, John Wentworth, is in promotion and marketing. He was a legend. Came to Paramount when he was 23 and helped promote all through New Gene Roddenberry, all through the Berman era, and moved over to CBS after the Viacom divorce and retired just a few years ago, still teaching. He is a great perspective on this phenomenon. But here's what 1986, the first time the studio owners of Star Trek realized they had an anniversary to market. Fast forward 35 years. What does it look like this year? You come a long way, baby. I think we can show that. So yeah, it wasn't always like this. And I don't just mean streaming panels. I don't just mean having a marketing campaign and noticing that it's happening and putting it out there, or having a short, snappy phrase. It took 20 years of Star Trek before the studio woke up and decided it was worth marketing. But hey, the little owner and his wife that could, trying to keep this thing afloat and figure it out without embarrassing themselves and pay the mortgage. Yes, 1976 had the Star Trek Tenniel, but the first time Paramount got involved was 86, and look where we are today. So yeah, happy Star Trek Day, everybody. Happy Star Trek Day. Okay, hang on. I just want to say a thank you to everybody. I will be seeing everybody if I can, if I'm allowed to, if we can do it and we have signal. I'll try to do some lives before and after tomorrow, so be watching for that. No promises. We'll see what we can do on phone, okay? So it might just even be Facebook Live, but we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, again, a weekly thank you to everybody in our Patreon, our TTL Club, Blaze K, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne Marie Siegel, Keith Rombach, Justin Porteous, Nathaniel Robinson, and J.R. Poole, and our current live wires, Rusty Harrell, Habyard Gunn Johnson, Jalen Bullock, Robert McLean, Alan Hohensi, and Casey Shafsky. I want to thank everybody who's doing our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Tuesdays Live. Go out and check us out. I keep a very simple house, $5, $10. For a shout out, the $10 folks, the live wires, are supposed to be getting access to our early interviews with backstage folks that we completed for Portal 47, and I'm overdue to get those out for the last few months. I'll do it. I promise. Meanwhile, thanks, everybody. It's not a big deal, but it's a big deal to me, and it helps do a little bit of support here, spreading the multi-streaming end of Trekland that we've actually come so far, just like Paramount. We've come so far this last year and a half of pandemic. But we were doing this 5 years ago. We've been doing this for 4 years, kiddos. I did mention John Wentworth on the Trek Files. I'd really love it if everybody could go check it out. Facebook.com/The Trek Files is the hub with the documents, but you can find Trek Files anywhere fine podcasts are given out free. And yeah, Saturday we'll be back with another Life Support Live, Dr. Ali and Dr. Trek. One of us is a real doctor, but we're all going boldly through uncertain times, geeking out on Trek and giving you some tips for daily living with a different theme, driven by Star Trek, currently from Lower Decks every week. That's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, 6 UK time, so join us. And hey, one more shout out for our friend Michael Braveheart, who was Ensign Martinez, Nurse Martinez, to help with his GoFundMe campaign. I know he is up over 2,400 now, on his way to his $5,000 goal that he had to up after he moved back to LA a couple months ago. But go check it out. He does post, and he sends personal thank yous to all the donors. That's at GoFundMe. Hey, that's going to do it for here on this Star Trek Day Eve. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much. You can find me at Larry Nemecek on Twitter and Larry Nemecek's Trekland, just like right now, on Facebook and YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. And Instagram. We'll be seeing a lot more of you across all the channels. Meanwhile, everybody, please hang on here. I'll be back after the break. Only the YouTube later, folks. I'm leaving now. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please stay safe. Do all the things in this pandemic. It's not over yet. And the folks that celebrated a little too early, little too much early partying, and their leaders, in some cases, have kept us wave alive. We just need to get the kids vaccinated. So do all the things, and please stay woke. Watch out for false information. Watch out for the things that are distorting your sense of reality, as well as those who distort your sense of history. Don't be averse. Don't be closed-minded when you learn something new you never knew. Be angry and then be smart. I guess what I'm saying is, as always, truck well, everybody. All right. All right, all right, all right. Well, if you weren't up to date on Star Trek Day, I hope everybody got into that. Let's take a look at the parrots. Let's take a look at my iPad. And still, no, I'll just say it. The Parrot Analytics company out of New Zealand, they've been in the States. They've tried to measure a way to tell what's popular and what's not among the streaming programs that have blossomed here the last 10 years, because unlike the old broadcasters, they don't publicly reveal ad ratings. In fact, the Nielsen's were privately derived anyway, which is kind of what kept them honest among the networks for setting ad rates. Streamers don't need that. Streamers keep their numbers to themselves. Hulu and Netflix and Prime and, yes, Paramount Plus. So they came up with this mnemonic called average demand expressions. We've been watching this since the dawn of Discovery, although they had existed before that. They measure in dozens of countries around the world. The U.S. top 10 is up every week at their site, Parrot Analytics. Look at the Insight tab, nothing special to me. There is movement by the Star Trek live action series when they're running in first run fresh every week, Discovery and then Picard. They've breached the top 10. They've risen as high as number 5 at times. I think Picard did. Lower Decks, however, never has. Now, it's up there in the top 2-3%. They break this down. This mnemonic is a factor, as everything on the internet. So every time you mention your show, your favorite Star Trek, it gets picked up if it's one of the live ones. If it's not a legacy show, if it's current production. And of course, with streaming, everything is always out there. There are lots of shows that stay high in mentions, in average demand expressions, when they're not dropping new episodes. That's never really happened with a Star Trek so far. But this week, the top 10 of the digital onlys, Titans, which is 44.9 times more popular than average show. That's the factor they use rather than report the raw ADE. Then Stranger Things, Ted Lasso, The Mandalorian, Loki, Cobra Kai, WandaVision, 9 Perfect Strangers, Lucifer, and The Handmaid's Tale. Not in new episodes, but oh, that Texas news has got people talking about Handmaid's Tale. It's on a spike, as is The Mandalorian and Cobra Kai. That Handmaid's Tale rounds out the top 10 at 24.3 times more popular than average show. Still makes that in the outstanding range. Outstanding, they define for their term as in the upper 2.4% of all streaming shows, streaming and broadcast. The top 10 overalls that they also measure. SpongeBob is number 1 again, 77.5 times more popular than the average show. Then Walking Dead, which is on a spike. Walking Dead, apparently, in their global ratings, is the most popular watched show or mentioned show around the world. Go figure. My Hero Academia, Rick and Morty. Probably with Doc Rick, Christopher Lloyd. Then Titans, Saturday Night Live, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, Ted Lasso, and American Horror Story is the top 10 of the overalls. American Horror winds up at 39.4%. So there's 3 digitals in the top 10 overall. But the digitals end up at 24.3 times more popular. Just to check, Star Trek Lower Decks this week, over the last 30 days, I should say, is still on an upswing. It's still very much there. Now it's 16.1 times more popular than an average show. It's still in the outstanding. It's still in the upper 2.7% of all series. It's actually had a 21.1 change in demand for the last 30 days on an uptick. And its uptick line has leveled off, but it is staying strong, and it is now 97.3% more popular, according to Parrot, than all animation in the U.S. Not just animation drama, but animation. That's interesting. They go back and forth. So, yeah, Lower Decks is right up there. Where would it be? It's coming in right now at 30 days on an uptick, 16. It's probably higher than 16 for the last week. It may be at 18 or 20. I'm certain it's, if not in the mid lower 20s, or the next 10 after that, coming up to 20, if it's not around 15 or 20, it's got to be a high 20s. So Lower Decks is doing just fine. And it's in the strongest part of its cycle. But that's trying to get a handle on that. Will there be some upticks after tomorrow? Will there be some major news come out of Star Trek that might affect this? I don't know. What will a virtual panel look like with a live audience? I mean, the camera will be taking close-ups of people sitting at a table, and you'll hear the live audience reacting. How will the staging be? It's gonna be interesting. Yet another new chapter. Just when we can't roll out anything new in our experience these days, here comes a new one, and I can't wait. It'll be thrilled to be there as a live participant, live audience watching it all. So hope you can join wherever you are on the globe. And yeah, I know Europe. I know it's crappy timing, but there you are. It's actually starting early in the afternoon. If the red carpet is online live, that would be midnight UK time. So we'll see. We'll see. Now I'm diving into the chats. As you old timers know, we'll see what's going on here. If you are new, please, everybody, ask a question. I especially like actual questions. We get off on tangents here, but we will see what's going on. Let's see what's happening. And, if you're new, please sound off and even tell us where you're from, because we've got folks from all around the globe here, from Europe to the Aussies and in between. Oh, hey, John Callan. Not your first time in, I think, but thanks for popping in. And there you go. On Star Trek Trivia Daily, you're doing a whole day of trivia about Gene Roddenberry. Awesome. Very good. His actual 100th birthday was August 19th. But hey, to me, it's a centennial year. And there may be events and special items marking his centennial of birth and his legacy, obviously, all through the year. So you can have the celebratory part and you can have the reflective aspect of the life. And that includes how he was, a flawed human as well. But that should not take away from the impact. Because of Gene Roddenberry, we're all doing this right now. All this is going to happen tomorrow. So many people have had their lives affected by that guy and what he created, and all of its offshoots, and all the people that came to contribute, to create, to work, yes, and to enjoy it in 55 years. It's amazing. And I know we have big franchises. And yes, I know we can go back to Stan Lee, although he came along in the 60s. You can go back to Marvel and DC, and Star Wars is a creature of the 70s. But that's piling on, I know. You can go to all of that, but I really still globally wonder if anything has had the impact that in an everyday world, which in 1986 was just starting to dawn on people that maybe there's a little more lasting to Star Trek than box office receipts and residual payments for local stations, and action figure sales. Maybe there's a little more to Star Trek than all of that, even on the bean counter side. That's worth investing in. So good on you, John. We'll look forward to seeing that. And hi, Yvette. It's been a while, I think, but good to see you again. Yeah. Hey, John X. Happy Star Trek Day Eve. Or as Rusty would put it, happy almost Star Trek Day. Hello, another newbie. Hi, Michael, coming over from Facebook, Michael Richmond. First time commenter, watched a few times. Awesome. Well, you picked a great week to do it. Happy Star Trek Day back to you. Happy birthday, Star Trek. I swear to God, guys, every time I see happy, Star Trek Day, and that's cool. I got nothing against saying Star Trek Day, but it's like, what did we used to say? And I had to go back and start tracking the years. I really think the phrase Star Trek Day didn't come in until Twitter had 2 or 3 or 4 years to penetrate fandom. I really think it didn't become a thing until 2011, 2012. That's one of those hashtags or phrases that you're racing to get the the etymology of it. It's not a word, it's a phrase, I know, but still the evolution, the genealogy of the phrase. And even at one point where I called First Contact Day, our Star Trek Day, because it was the only. The other was our birthday, our anniversary. It's the made up day. That's our birthday anniversary. Who, it's not. It's Trek Christmas. There you go. Justin, I was only kidding. But how would it be? Do you all celebrate Star Trek Day on September 6th? I mean, I know we have different Thanksgivings, Justin. I mean, this could be a whole culture war right here, Justin. Why is Star Trek Day not celebrated on September 6th? We can have our first denominational faction split here. I'm just kidding. As usual, the Canadians have been very polite about giving up their day actually being the first day. But doesn't it just show you how far we've come? In 1966, it took 20 or 30 years for that to even get out. It took the internet to spread the meme that Canada had Star Trek 2 days before the US. And what was that all about? Well, nobody cared. It was just, you want to sell it in Canada? Yeah. What's your day? Well, it won't be Thursday. It'll be Tuesday. Okay, fine. Oh, well, that means the first one will be 2 days before the US. Oh, we don't care. Who's watching? It's live TV. You got a rerun. Who knows? Who cares? Aside from, people in Detroit, maybe. Cross-border war there. There you go, John. As recently as 4 years ago, your Star Trek Day was watching a 2-episode marathon with Mantrap as the main course. Right, the channels would maybe come out and do something. Now, panels and trailers and bears, oh my. I mean, at the 50th, I meant to do this. At the 50th, we'd had a year, Vegas was big and Mission New York was a new thing. The cruise was announced. Did it happen in 2016? I think so. But what struck 2 weeks out, we got to actual day, September 8th, and there was nothing. I mean, yeah, some of the channels were running episodes. We had I threw together a little, we went to Lucy's across from Paramount, and I said, hey, everybody, come, it's not on me, but come celebrate. If you want to go see live people, what a concept. We're going to have a chunk of Lucy's here. They've given us their TVs. We're going to show episode. We're going to tune them to whatever channel. Show episodes. I mean, it was no, CBS All Access existed, but what shape was the Star Trek programming in? We're going to show Star Trek episodes, and we'll have some events. So we had some drawings and raffles, but just camaraderie. I had a big birthday card, and everybody could sign it. Still have it. But that was it, because we all felt empty on the actual day. The anniversary got all the attention in the standard. So this idea of having something special on the day, nationally, globally, that's even a new idea. Something besides just saying happy Star Trek birthday to each other. I know. Sarcasm. Canadian Jew, Shatner, Canadian war hero, Jimmy. Yes. You're very on top of it, Captain Calvin. In 10 days, it's Happy 55th for Space Patrol. All righty then. Too bad, Rusty. Sorry about that. Well, John X, I'll see. I will try to be. I sure will tweet some, at least, if not to actual live stream. Yeah, it's McMahon. I screwed up. There was a family in a funeral home when I grew up that was McMahon's. Yeah, a McMahon. It was pronounced McMahon, same spelling, and that always throws me with Mike. And I'm very sorry, Mike. I always apologize when I forget it. Superintendee. Yes. Well, we'll see, John. We'll see what having this live element to virtual panels does. I can't wait to see what it looks like. And I'll be live, so I won't get the effect unless I'm sitting there streaming it live as we're watching it. You would think they've had their live action footage. If it's only because not to get ahead of a timeline for promo, if the show isn't going to premiere until after Discovery and Picard, if they hold this back until till summer or fall 2022, Strange New Worlds, and they start showing trailers now, they've got substantial live footage. There's probably a lot of CG because it's R&D for a pilot. And I mean, they had even though it's been redone, they've got the bridge redone. Larry will talk to Kurtzman there and a magical new book will appear. Don't count on it, John. I mean, yeah, never say never, but it's not that kind of event, I think. There you go. Star Trek Day is 6th September if Canada counts, and it does. Oh, well, you could, like I said, we celebrate Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving isn't pinned to a specific event the way the first day. When was, I guess, what was the first day that Star Trek was shown in the UK? Is that your Star Trek Day? I mean, it can be two different things. It could be home country premiere, and that's Star Trek Day. And then it could be Star Trek premiere day in your country the first time you were allowed to see it. It just so happens that Canada beats the rest of the world on that. Well, anyway. Yes, Rusty, exactly. And you were there. It was such a blur, and we were all dealing with masking and all that. I mean, the Voyager people already feel bumped because they had their anniversary year stolen by COVID. And they're trying to get it back however they can. Now we are dominoing onto Enterprise that hasn't had any kind of a celebration yet, and they're at 20. Now, I'm going to predict that poor Enterprise gets a big 25th, hopefully. But they are due and they are overdue. I totally agree. If Canada doesn't count, then say goodbye to Discovery and Strange New Worlds. Yeah. A friend of yours celebrates her birthday on First Contact Day. You mean she was born on September 8th, or she just picked September 8th because that's Star Trek's anniversary? A movie announcement would be cool too. Yes, it is supposedly one big happy studio now, or one big happy corporate entity. So, we'll see. We will see. Hey, Jared, it's good to see you. Well, Rose, I'm sure you'll find something, but happy Star Trek Day to you tomorrow. Good point, Chris Tucker. Hi, Chris. I think you've been with us before, but good to see you again. You know what I keep saying, between the Bell riots and especially World War III, I'd be happy for us. I don't want Star Trek canon to break Star Trek canon, but I'm totally up with us breaking Star Trek Prime canon. I would love to be a Star Trek multiverse in which World War III and the Bell riots didn't happen. I would love for that. Scientifically, it's going to get to the point where when we do fly faster than light by some means of propulsion that cheats, the rules of relativity, the laws of relativity, like subspace does in Star Trek. But you have to have the energy to get there. And whether it's an antimatter matter engine that's filtered through to lithium, which is still, as last time I checked, still an actual fictional element because we haven't discovered it on the 5th moon of Jupiter yet. But yeah, I'm totally fine with our reality not mirroring Prime. Even though, Greg Cox had some awfully clever explanations of why we didn't know the eugenics wars happened. Oh, Captain Calvin, I've been through this already. I celebrated the first day of shooting on the Cage. And then, is it the first day of shooting the Cage or the day that Gene dated his March 1964 pitch letter, Star Trek Is, when he typed up his actual memo for his CBS meeting? I mean, what? Are we talking about the origin of life here? Let's not go there. I'm worn out enough for that from the news headlines. But yeah, its perspective is something. The first time masses could see it is kind of what people settle on. And that's where the Man Trap's premiere date came from. And let's say, hey, Robert. Okay, well, the Germans and Austrians are off talking, so we'll move on. What's going on? You're totally right, Dan. You felt like celebrating when there was no new Star Trek, because there had always been Star Trek. There had been, and not something to take lightly, be grateful for. Absolutely. But it was very circular and introspective. It was just the family celebrating. Nobody outside the family cared, aside from, a few entertainment reporters. Well, today I was dancing around. I thought I had no internet. Well, we didn't have internet. Our outage was down. And then they announced the time, but was very conservative. And then by the time they said, "Oh, we're back on," I was scrambling around to be ready to run. So there's that. If Phlox had been around at any point in the 70s, it would have said, "Optimism, Captain, optimism." True. And we all love John Billingsley. Okay. The killer bees started way down south. They didn't start in America. Just to do that. Oh, very nice. Give them some applause in red here in the chat stream. Okay, well, we're all into killer bees here. Oh, very nice. I'm sure he appreciates that, Galinda. Thank you. I've been trying to have him as a guest on Portal 47, and he's just not quite up to it health-wise. And that's how I got drawn into trying to help him boost signal on his GoFundMe. So good on you. And there you go. Hashtag friends of Michael Braveheart. Okay. Hi, Barbara. Nice to see you too. And I don't think this is your first time by. You came by life support, maybe? Am I in a blur here? Star Trek Eve has less syllables than Star Trek Day Eve. Absolutely, Dan. But if I said Star Trek Eve, you might think we were talking about Eve McCurran from Mud's Women, or even my friend Eve Gideon in Atlanta, who's a huge star, who was cosplaying before cosplaying was cool and more than just a uniform. Yes, she was Maress in like 2010. She was Durango, Troy's character, in 2008, 2009. So yeah. Anyway, for people who aren't tuned into thinking about Star Trek Day, I say Star Trek Day Eve. Now, with you guys, with the family here, I could say Star Trek Eve, and you'd know what I meant, right? Yeah. Let's see. Do all the things. Absolutely. Oh, the intro prodigy. Yeah, it's the most JJ Trek, Kelvin universe. I want to say JJ Trek because it wasn't so much about what the universe looked like. It was, well, take that back. The nacelles were very JJ Pricey, and the contrails, which Gene never wanted, so I just interpret that as an artistic expression, not actual contrails coming out of the nacelles. Or it's an effect. If you actually had a camera watching a ship at warp, that's what it... Or it could just be a huge clue that everything about Prodigy is in the Kelvin universe, and that's why there are Tellarites in the Delta Quadrant. No. It's been said to be Prime, right? Please tell me it's been said to be Prime. Yes, Dan, that you stole my line, which I steal, right, from The Guardian. The ETA of P+ internationally. Oh, I don't know. They've rolled it out in a few countries, and they've made a deal with Sky, correct? I haven't been keeping this up on from Texas. Please send help. Yeah. No worries. Christoph Seelek-Leitner, I'm happy to be the facilitator for more global communication and understanding. So it's all fine. Wait, what? People are watching Perfect Strangers again? Do the Dance of Joy, Cousin Larry. You lost me, Zahir. Um, you lost me. Well, there you go. Thank you, Brian. Good to see you, Brian. Walking Dead's in its final seasons, and the first 3 episodes have been really good. Cool. I just never was a zombie person. I had no desire. Zombies and extreme cruelty and torture were never, my bailiwick, which is kind of why I was a Trek fan. But there you go. There you go. Titans is produced by Kiva Goldsman. I had not got into that. So there you go. Well, it's making some people happy. It's been consistently talked about for 4 or 5 years now. Okay, actual questions. Christoph, how will The Walking Dead end? Walking living? Sleeping dead? Yeah. Skipping dead? Oh, hey, Robert. Will I have an opportunity to interview Zach Quinto while in Salt Lake? I hadn't even thought about it. I'm so busy thinking about my own stuff. Maybe if I put in for that, I could do that. He's, representing several. He didn't want a specifically Star Trek-ish moderator. So they've got somebody from the regular pool of moderators. Yeah. Linda Snodgrass is going to be a guest at Salt Lake. And John Eves is always there. I'm looking forward to catching up with John. It's gotten so hard to do. And he's ever since he got burned on the 25% thing, he's kept his nose to the grindstone. Plus, he's busy. He works in many franchises and many studios. Nathaniel, was there any effort in 2001 to connect Voy or Int? See how stupid that sounds? To connect Voyager or Enterprise to TOS, the old scientists, not the shows. Well, I mean, as the years went along, I mean, Voyager did flashback for the 30th in 96 and used movie era Sulu and Rand, but had that. And then they'd talk about cowboy diplomacy when Millennium Gate happened. When Janeway would get reflective, and she kind of made you feel like they were looking back at 100 years ago, the way we would look back at, the 1910s. Enterprise, though, the 3 flag officers were all named for, Admiral Maxwell Forrest was named for, DeForest Kelley, Leonard Nimoy, and William Shatner, and the 3 flag officers, what is it? Admiral Forrest, Commander Williams, and Admiral Leonard. They were all named for the original trio's original names, whichever one made sense. Williams from William, Leonard, and Forrest from DeForest. So there was that. And, McCoy got brought up by the EMH several times. So, of course, Enterprise is 100 years before them. So it had to be a little obscure. Another actual question, of course, from Captain Calvin. You stumbled upon a Trek comic called Dead of Honor, and you're asking, is there a chance that we turn to Sel, one of Kirk's old flames, her daughter to cure? And probably not. If someone winds up with the keys to the franchise or a lot of clout and power, who was an absolute fan of this, or their dad or their grandmother worked on this book, then maybe it's just a quirky thing. But otherwise, no, because now you're into money and rights and percentages and all of that. And just to put a cherry on this, yes, Walking Alive with Staying Alive as the theme song. John Travolta guest starring. Oh no, Melanie, you're out of here. No excuses. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, Melanie, I'm so sorry about this. This is maddening, but I'm glad you could make it for a little bit. Oh really, Dan? Star Trek week? Okay, Sure. And, and you, hey, Barbara, Star Trek, Trek Xmas? Yeah. And we need carols, you know. Well, Charlie's our new darling or something. Beyond the rim of the starlight. There's always that. And if only there had been a Star Trek theme with words. Oh well. There you go. Star Trek carols. I know there have been parodies. Hadn't there been a parody? I can see Deck the Bridge with, I don't know. I'm sure I've seen some parody carols over the years. Oh, Robert, Doctor Who is older than Star Trek by 3 years nearly. Doctor Who premiered the week that Kennedy was assassinated. That's how I always remember it. November. Now, the same way that nobody cared about the U.S. Canadian thing at debut. No one in the States knew about Doctor Who, and no one in the UK knew about Star Trek, unless you're at a very high level of communication and you hop the ocean. We didn't have sharing of media. There was no portable ownership of media, much less sharing it. So no, nobody knew until the PBS stations brought Doctor Who over in the mid 70s. And then you had the Tom Baker explosion. And that was it. But I always tell, as I told our Doctor Who guest on Continues, I said, yes, Doctor Who may be older than Star Trek, but the US showed the UK how to market it. It didn't get out until into the 70s, into the sci-fi boom, and was probably presentable then. Very good, Dan. You've never heard Star Trek carols until you've heard them in the original Klingon. Thank you. Thank you. Star Trek bells, Hortus smells, Jane Kirklegs. Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Maybe not quite so much. And there's Dan bopping in. Trek Hashona, 8 Nights of Celebration. There's that. Okay. Yeah, but let's not talk about wrestling. Let's just not even go there. It's kind of the antithesis of everything Star Trek. Not the classic Greco-Roman sport of wrestling, but I'm talking about, we don't even go there. And I know there's probably a lot of professional wrestling fans out there, but they're professional wrestling actors. And I know there's some risk, and people do and there's been brain injury. So I know there's a lot of rough and tumble stuff going on, but don't even go there. Yes, very true. In fact, I posted a happy birthday, Alex, from the one of the 2 times we've actually had an actual long conversation. The one day every year he's not fired. There you go. There you go. Oh, sorry. I read right through that, Captain Calvin. Okay. April 5th. See, I always confuse April 4th and 5th because First Contact Day Eve was when they arrived in the 22nd century. So there you go. This is exactly what I mean. Germany's Star Trek Day would be May 27th in 1972. So the 50th is coming up. There you go. Don't we just all need more reasons to party? I'm totally happy to celebrate Germany's Star Trek Day. I'm totally happy to celebrate Canada's Star Trek Day and the UK's. It's got to be Star Trek Day somewhere, everywhere. Yes, absolutely. That would be something, Captain, but I don't know if we want to really drag in the memory of Eileen Roddenberry into all this. That was kind of a tortured, Chris, the origin of Star Trek life. The origin of species, plural. Yes, of all colors. We could celebrate the day Gene met Majel. That would be interesting. That'd be way back in the I was just reading up on this. It's in his biography. Very good. How we deal with cancellation is as important as how we deal with renewals. Wouldn't you say so, Lieutenant Savick? How we deal with cancellation is as important as how we deal with renewals. Wouldn't you say? Do we know why the man trap was chosen to air first? Because they didn't want to show the different art look of Where No Man, because the cage was out of contention, because Corbomite Maneuver's effects weren't ready, and it wasn't aired until like 8th or 10th in, because Mudd's women, they didn't want to give the idea of the space hookers, even though they were not hookers. They were settler brides. That was what else was going? Corbomite, Mudd's women, the early filmings. Yeah, it was just overall of the first 4, 5, 6 they had to pick from. Yeah, I think there's something about either canonically, if she was in communications, that would be operations and special services, or just the fact that she was her dark skin tone. They thought the red would do better, would be more flattering than gold, and the green gold. Remember, it's green gold, not gold. Yes, he does. There you go. Well documented in many reasons. Exactly. Okay, Barbara, good to know. I knew you'd been before. I was just trying to think how new and where, but glad to have you, and glad to have you popping off like this. Glad to have you anti-lurking. And thank you, Glenda, for sharing all over too. Oh, a question, speaking of Savick. I think part of that was just I don't know if you noticed this or not, Christoph, but Uhura's wearing a gold dress the first time or two she's on screen. Things start off and they evolve and get dropped. Whatever happened to the Picard French joke, right? So, yeah, Mr. Savick, I think it was also a thing that made it easier to talk down to her as lower in rank. I don't know. Because after that, she's only she's isolated from the crew through most of Star Trek 3, and then she's only in the opening scene of Star Trek 4, and he calls her lieutenant, whatever. There you go. Actual question, Captain Calvin. Do I cosplay when I go to conventions? If so, what's your favorite cosplay you did? Well, for years, early on, yeah, I did. I cosplayed. I had a McCoy uniform, and then later I had a Kirk and a Scotty, but McCoy was the only one I would wear to a con. And then I had my McCoy dress uniform. Never got to wear a smock until Star Trek Continues. And then I made up for the one time I cosplayed as a joke when I was out of college and being a young income earner. I got some blue coveralls and simplified them to look like Star Trek coveralls, black shirt coveralls, and I went and did a lettered stencil and went as a Starbase janitor. And then I brought that totally, years later, decades later, I brought that out at the gate. Rod had a Halloween party that wasn't specifically Star Trek people. So I got that. I got the janitor outfit out and updated it, got the hat, updated it, and went and made a backstory. And I was Lester Kirk, the head janitor of Starbase 47. And I've pulled that out once or twice since. And then after Continues, when I had such a nice McCoy outfit, I take it to Vegas in case I need to cosplay or need to do something with a costume. I have my McCoy smock and top. And then I took Lester with me this year too, but I didn't get any of it. I didn't have time to cosplay this year. And missing Saturday for tummy upset did not help. So that's the full. Oh, but back in the day, I not only wore my McCoy and dress uniform, but I did 2 or 3 times. I did a Tellurite with nose putty nose after we had the college. I had a college makeup class, and there are pictures of me role playing cosplay. And I quit doing cosplay because at the multi franchise cons for 2 or 3 years, girls would just go as Magenta and Columbia from Rocky Horror, and they're falling out of the things and they're winning. And it was like, what's the point? What's the point of me? Oh, there's a whole long famous story that I'll tell sometime again. The last time I did a cosplay for real was when that happened in the heat of a July Dallas day, and I swore I'd never do it again. And then, you get older after a while and you don't think you're going to do that. And now we've had the cosplay revolution where it's all cool. It's all cool. Oh, Dan, don't underestimate people. There might be somebody out there that thinks you're talking about Eve McCuron. Idic. No. Hence the E and ETA. I don't know enough to make an estimate. So I don't know. And I haven't been following it. If I was watching the trade papers and the stock market calls with the stock owners, that kind of thing. Really, between the time of the network ramping up, the remarriage happening between Paramount and Viacom Paramount and CBS, and what's his name, Mr. Me Too, going away. That's all kind of died down. You really have to go and dig. They're kind of a snooze fest now, but the still nuggets are there, and some of the news outlets are really trying to follow them. Trek Movie and Allison at Daily Star Trek News, I know at least are doing that. This show could hardly get funnier. You're cracking up. Okay. It's feeling. What about Vulcan zombies? I don't know, Rusty. What about Vulcan zombies? Oh, would I watch a Vulcan zombie? What was it? Imperfection? What was the name of the Vulcan Zombie Enterprise show? That's not it. It's a one-word long title. Oh, there you go. Star Trek Eve could be Alice Eve. So there. Walking Dead will end with Patrick Duffy in the shower. There you go, Rusty. That's true. There'd be different actresses probably playing them, but they'd all be, in McCoy age range. You want the Viewmaster from the Star Trek Day welcome package. Sorry, David. No Star Trek Day packages here. Lower Decks should do an Xmas or a Halloween episode. Well, I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll see. Actually, it's My Love is Wandering in Starflight. Barbara, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about here, but I mean, DM me or something if this is something. I don't mean if it's something serious. It's like you're obviously serious, but I don't know the parameters of what you're talking about here. I gladly help promote or speak on behalf of sanity that I thought people all had that we had to figure out how to tell them. Oh, Rose, do I think they'll put this on? Maybe special bonus features someday in the future. I'm sure it's all sitting in archives somewhere, but we'll see. You're not the first to say this, Tim. I think my friend Aaron Harvey, who co-wrote, it's back there, who co-wrote the official animation guide. I think he said something like this. It would be awesome to see Lower Decks drawn as TAS animation style. And hey, Paul Wright, glad to see you here. But this is not Portal 47, just so you understand. This is free for all. It is a free for all. Very true. Very true. And Dwayne Johnson has risen far above his wrestling roots. And Kirk did some wrestling moves as legit wrestling, not, it wasn't scripted. Well, it was scripted, but you know what I mean. Oops, see, I knew I'd step on somebody's toes. Hey, now that's my, well, there you go. I've driven you off, Paul. I'm sure I've, hello, Dr. Gahul. Welcome from YouTube, unless you're moonlighting from one of the other channels. Your birthday is there, so you're officially older than Who and Trek. Absolutely. It's just a matter of math. Hey, Stephen, for last time was the first time Star Trek to you felt as big as it was in the mid-90s. This year feels even bigger. Yeah. And of course, part of this is how much is it busting out into the mainstream? Is mainstream media picking up on it? That'll be that's another test. Every day is Star Trek Day. Absolutely, Rusty. Absolutely. Oh, good old Raumschiff Enterprise. Yep. Really, guys? Tomorrow is Star Trek Days Day? Yeah. Oh, Chris. So many factors in that choice you never knew. Thanks for... Okay. I'm happy to repeat everything that's out there. But you know what? Nothing does anybody any good until it finds its way to them. So you're welcome. You're welcome. There you go, Dan. That's true. Although I don't think, see, nobody was thinking of McCoy as an equal. It was lead, second banana, everybody else. You know, originally Janice Rand was third in pecking order, and then came McCoy. But even that wasn't a given. You can see the pecking order, everybody at the back. But Dee really stepped up and came through on screen. By the way, you do the context, not trivia. I say texture, not trivia for alliteration, but good. Cool. No mention of the new Borg Queen for Picard. Well, they did last week, Rusty. Were you sleeping? I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure they'll mention it, but they, you know, the bombshell was last week. There you go. Yeah, I met George Clayton Johnson once, and I am so pissed that I did not go immediately and go talk to him more. That's true, David. You've never seen me cosplay, but you've seen someone cosplay as me, which was really weird. That was the year, that was what, 2018? That was the year somebody cosplayed as Ira and as Michael Pillar and as me. I mean, not the same person, different people. And it was kind of flattering to be in a group the first year that people, you know, nobody was cosplaying Rick. Although John Cooley, 2 or 3 years before that, cosplayed as Gene, 60s Gene, and it was amazing. And I have pictures of it, and I posed with him. I loaned him a script. No, I think he had the script. He's posing with a script to the cage, and it's in his suit, in his 60s narrow tie suit, and it's amazing. Hey, Nathaniel, why did they put the color on the shoulders, lighting? That could be, for one thing, it was just trying to get something that definitely looked different than the TNG style, and something that felt looser. And it was going to be the darker, grittier show, and more stunty and more, you know, extras. So they came up with the excuse of it was not a ship-based assignment. So, and then what do? We see the jumpsuits on Voyager. So, oh well. how much that looked. Here you go. Brooks looked terrible in the TNG uniform. Okay. A lot of people don't like the gray tops, and I saw somebody just the other day. Somebody did a Chakotay in a gray top because they love the gray tops. Excuse me, everybody. We're live. Why was the brief scene from Star Trek II when he says Savick is half Romulan left the cutting room floor? I think there's a reason for this. Am I going to sneeze again? I can't believe this. I've never had a sneezing fit on camera. Okay, that passed. And I won't so far. This is interesting. I'm trying to remember if Nick Meyer talks about this in From the Bridge. Somebody may pop in here with this. My first instinct is to say they just wanted to trim for simplicity, and it didn't really enter into... Yeah. I'll know when I hit this part in the chat catch up. It wasn't really part of the plot, aside from trying to explain, give her some texture and give her some more violent tendencies and explain that in terms of Vulcan. They were certainly going with it when she tears up at the funeral later. It really helps that moment. But other than that, she's not really in any hard action sequences. So there's that. I don't know. I do not know. Somebody may have figured out that how it was probably... Now, Vonda McIntyre, I think, gets into it in the novel, but somebody might wonder, how did a Romulan and a Vulcan parent get together 20 or 30 years before, in the time of the original series, when Romulans and humans hadn't even seen each other until Balance of Terror in 66. Well, 20 years later, is Savick older than 20? And then you get off on how did the Hansons encounter the Borg? Well, it was a rogue mission that wasn't on record. So you could have chalked that up to, and then say, hold my beer, Tasha's offspring Romulan, Sela. But anyway, we'll see if somebody's fresher on this than me. But that's my gut feeling, it was just trimmed for simplicity. Yep. Oh, Ricky Burnett, who lives here in LA, that I don't recognize now unless he's got his beard on. Yeah, he was wearing he borrowed my blue collared LA to Vegas big Star Trek tour shirt. Yeah, Les Moonves. Thank you, Captain Calvin. I did a little bit of, brain cleanse trying to get rid of that. Thank you, Impulse. See, I thought it was longer than that, but that's it, Impulse. It was a good Star Trek word. Trek movie folks are awesome and very friendly. Yeah, except that one. Okay. And thanks, everybody, for jumping in. Yes. It is. Well, Fire and Ice was, I don't think about it as a zombie episode. I think it was the gay episode that didn't happen. But yeah, Fire and Ice would have been zombified from the blood, from the blood thing. Yeah. Awesome, Barbara. I look forward to that. Thank you. It's only a matter of time. Yep. Oh, Melanie, I know the words, but yes, there you go. Beyond the rim of the starlight, my love is wandering in starflight. I know he'll find in star-clustered reaches love, strange love, a star woman teaches. I know his journey ends never. His Star Trek will go on forever. But tell him as he wanders his starry sea, remember Remember me. And we lost the last few words, but I think I remember it. That's it. And we all knew that because it was on the frontispiece to the making of Star Trek. Everybody in the 70s knew what the words to the Star Trek song were because it was right there in the front of the making of Star Trek. And everybody, no matter what your interest was, had a copy of the making of Star Trek because there were like less Star Trek books than you could count on your hand. Making of books. Absolutions. Okay, well, you've met Ira more often in person than Larry has? Well, I wouldn't count on that. But good. Thank you, Germans. Gesundheitigen me. Yes. The schedule, I went through the schedule at the beginning, Rose, but at 5:30 Pacific time is when it nominally starts. But 6 to 9-ish Pacific time is the schedule. Let me see here. Basically, it's Prodigy, Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, Picard, and a Roddenberry Legacy panel with 5 Legacy moment shorts, videos probably covering the transition times between the panels. Sirach, Anthony, Garrett, George, and LeVar. We're on first name basis here, right? Are we, guys? Okay. I don't think I've got a cold, guys. We're good. We're good. There you go. The novel has a scene where she heard the novel. Well, hello, what's going on here? That was weird. When she hears that Peter died, and she ripped out a chair and threw it against the wall. There we go. There was a time in the 80s and 90s where Paramount movies where they had U.S. aircraft carriers named Enterprise show up, like Top Gun and Tom Clancy. Like, who are Paramount? This? I don't know that that was like a big plan, Stingray, because, you know, the one time they wanted the Enterprise for Star Trek 4, it was at sea, and they had to use the Ranger docked. So there we go. Thank you, David, for retconning Savick for us. And there you go. There you go. For Rose and everybody else, there's the schedule. Being a live event, it will be on at 1:30 UK time, 2:30 Central Europe. Okay. Absolutely. Humans should never assume that other species did not know of each other. A few came. Well, how many times do the Vulcans say, "Oh, it's the Vulcans knew everybody before humans came along," which is the point of half the point of Enterprise and half the point of having T'Pol there with them. Hey, Dr. Ghoul. Love knows no bounds. Hortas and Excalbians met. Well, maybe. And dude, I'm trying to envision Hortas and Excalbians with their own space flight. I don't know. I know the books and maybe the comics have Hortas as crew members. So, but Savick is nothing special. Very true. Hey, Mike McDevitt, remember you? Yes, good to see you back. Glad you could make it back to us. And what was delightful? Oh no. Okay. Oh, you guys, you're too funny. Oh, there you go. You sang it with a band many eons ago. Ira is fun to hang out with. Yeah, in a sly, laid back way. uh, I have pictures that I could share in public of Ira's actual eyes. And we got the German lyrics to the Star Trek song, which I will leave the chat folk to digest here. There you go. Dan, that was my gut reaction. Yeah. And he didn't, but then he was the guy that wanted to have no smoking signs on the ship. So at the time, this is the case where you go, wow, look at Nick Meyer. Look how much he did. That was awesome. And he didn't know Star Trek ahead of time. Well, there were little winky dinky crinky things along the around the edges. And, you know, again, it was why she cried and yada, yada. But it was I think they were also just scared of thinking that a full blood Vulcan alongside Leonard playing Spock would look repetitious or you know, duplicative. I don't know. Not sure what you mean here, Melanie. I might be gone till Tuesday now, Wednesday. Not sure what we mean. I think we're coming down to the end of the chat, though, folks, here. What if... Oh. Where did this go? Moved. What if the Horta is just an Excalbian wearing a jacket? I don't know, David. What if the Horta is just an Excalbian wearing a jacket? The Horta's in it. All right. No, I mentioned it, Linda. I guess it went right past everybody. If only there were. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Guys, I think we're at the end of the chat. How awesome is that? Happy Star Trek Day tomorrow, everybody. Hopefully you can watch the panels. And if you're happen to be sleeping because it's the middle of the night, they'll be right there first thing when you get up in the morning. What's crazy for me is that tomorrow I have the Europeans and Midday Americans in Portal 47 Ask Dr. Trek's roundtable at noon. And then I have to go on an errand and then get over to the Skirball Center and get geared up for the event tomorrow live, which will be a thing in itself. It'll be good to see people because it's normally mostly that, well, it's the LA local fandom that they get to put, they're doing as they do when they have premieres. But there, I'm not working it per se. I escaped that. So we will see what happens. See what else comes out of the red carpet line too. Hopefully that'll do, that'll be entertaining, and we'll see how it goes. See what the headlines are for tomorrow evening. Again, as we wind down here, just a quick thank you to everybody in the TTLers and the live wires. If you want to see what that's all about, check out patreon.com. I am /Trekland Live. There's all kinds of creators there. I have a very simple Patreon system, just $5 and $10 a month. The month just restarted, so they won't take it out until the end of the month. But love to have you with us if you feel like supporting things Trekland. Of course, if you really want to go, just jump in the portal, portal47.net. Otherwise, the Trek File is up with John Wentworth back with us, talking about promotion and the dance that promotion does with production and the other aspects of a studio. And our inciting incident, our spark plug this week, is an angry memo that Herb Solo wrote to Bob Justman. It's a lot of fun. That's over at podcast.roddenberry.com and the Trek Files page on Facebook, for starters. Also, Saturday we'll bring another Life Support Live edition this week on Saturday with Dr. Ollie and Dr. Trek. Come go boldly with us through uncertain times. We have a lot of fun geeking out. It's a lot of the lifers are here in the chat here today. We have live chat interaction. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully you come away feeling a little better about something going on. We'll see what this week's theme is. There's a Facebook group page I invite you to go over to also. You can see what's going on. People post fun stuff, informative stuff, and we vote on new topics for the show. So take a look over there, would you please? And again, one more shout out for Michael Braveheart's GoFundMe, Friends of Michael Braveheart. If you can toss anything in, he's very appreciative. And he also thanks his folks, his donors, personally. Most folks have gotten something in the mail from him. So there you go. Once again, we've come a long road getting from there to here. It wasn't always this way. It wasn't always this way. But where will we go from here? That's the excitement. To the journey. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. Stay healthy out there. Please do all the things. Okay? Stay woke. Check the sources of who you're talking to. Check the sources of what you're reading. Keep your mind open. We're talking about human beings here. And most of all, trek well, everybody.